Content creation or gaming, we're going hands-on with Dell's latest XPS 15. How do you back up your 12 terabyte NAS offsite, secure email clients for Android, and quite a bit more coming up on TekThing. TekThing is brought to you by patrons like Mitchell, Francois, Kelvin, and Jed. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you every week. Hey, if the show makes your tech easier, we'd love it if you became a patron, patreon.com/TekThing. Thanks.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
Not today.
No?
Got an idea for a new format.
Uh-oh.
Inspired by, I was over at a friend's house and the news was on in the background. The background.
Oh,
They call it the background. It was just background noise.
Uh-oh.
And I was thinking, we should go all FUD. Fear, uncertainty, doubt, roll a little panic in there.
No.
Instead of fixing
I don't like
things,
this idea.
We're just going to make you really uptight about everything in technology.
No.
The internet may eat your face.
That's...
No. The internet, the Ebola of your soul. Why you should go, you know what I mean? Like, no?
You know, that does sound a lot like many of the news sources for security and privacy that I hear. They're like, this is a fear factor. We're not going to show you how to protect yourself.
Run! You're
Everyone
doomed!
run! Live in the middle of the woods.
So should we
in
just
a tiny home with no electricity?
Actually, I'm kind of down with
Or
the
a
tiny
phone.
home, but I want electricity. I want solar. I'll do the tiny home. I'll go off grid, but I want internet and I want solar because I'm just. Can you just see me in my tiny home with a banjo?
Oh man.
I have no electricity, so I can't use my headphones. So I'm going to play banjo from now on. I like banjo. But I just don't think this is my future.
Oh,
okay,
that's funny.
so we should stick to giving answers, providing help, answering questions, helping
Yes.
people be more comfortable with technology.
Yes.
If you're good with that, let us know.
So we actually have something exciting today. We got our hands.
Exciting?
We got the new 2018 Dell XPS 15, which just started shipping this summer. And this XPS 15 now packs in an Nvidia GeForce GTX 1050 Ti with Max-Q and 4 gigs of GDDR5 memory. So of course my biggest question was, can an XPS laptop be for gaming instead?
So when you're looking at Dell and the XPS line, it's like the XPS 13. It's a professional machine for professional people doing professional things. And me. Technically, I'm professional. And in this case, it's like this is a professional machine for people who need to do video editing and Photoshop and need additional graphics power.
It comes with that GPU though, so my first idea, given the specs, was like, yeah, I think it could be a gaming laptop, but I wanted to find out for sure.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's running. It's running. So spoiler alert, I feel like it is.
1050 Ti, 4K monitor. What's the cost on this one?
So they start at $14.99. The one that I am reviewing specifically is the 1850 model. You can see all the different models here on Patrick's laptop. So this one comes with a 15.6-inch 4K UHD screen. That's 3840 by 2160. It's the same Infinity Edge IPS display, but this one in particular, just this model, is touch. And it also packs a 256 gig M.2 PCIe SSD, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, an Intel Core i7 8th Gen 8750H CPU, and a 97 watt-hour battery. Now, I could actually get about 8 hours of full charge, including lots and lots of gaming before the thing would die. I can't give you a specific amount of gaming because I was not paying attention to how long I was playing video games for, but I was playing for quite some time. And I still got 8 hours out of it, so that's pretty good.
That's also a big battery, and this is a 4-pound laptop, which some people think 4 pounds is heavy, but this is a lot of performance.
Yes, it is. They start at 4 pounds total, and then it goes up to like 4.5, but the models vary depending on which specs you choose. It has wireless AC, Bluetooth 4.2, which is the more secure Bluetooth version, which I appreciate. Those are also packed into the laptop. You do have the option of upgrading to a 1 terabyte SSD and 32 gigs of RAM, like you can see here, for a little bit more money, but those other models also come with a full HD non-touch display, and this is the only one with 4K, is the model that I'm reviewing. So if you want to go with the 4K touchscreen, you only have that one option. Keep that in mind. So I thought that playing games on this was pretty chill. Like, I'm playing Destiny 2 here. Obviously, you can see I have not gotten too far in the game as far as my testing goes, but that's good because I can show you, I can keep on showing the same gameplay and you can get a good comparison between all the laptops that I check out. Now, I'm currently on battery, and you will notice up in the top corner, I'm getting 30 FPS, but when I have this plugged in, I'm getting 60 FPS.
Nice.
During fighting sequences and everything, which is a lot better compared to a lot of the recent machines that I've been reviewing, which are around $1,000. So this one is closer to $2,000 for the price. So there is a big difference there. Oh no, there's some enemies, gotta shoot them. Ah!
So along with the 1050 Ti, this also has the advantage of having a 6-core, 12-thread processor.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big difference. Now the touchpad and the keyboard are just like the other XPS models that we have tested. The chiclet keyboard is not great for games, but it is excellent for typing. So if you're just like typing out a lot of Word docs, I really like their keyboards on the XPS machines. The touchpad is very smooth, it's really seamless, and it has those integrated button clicks, so those are very easy to use, including when you're in gaming. Obviously, I just died, so I was not paying attention. No! But the aluminum and carbon fiber build, that does help keep the weight down because this is a really big laptop. And if you use the webcam, you will notice here, it's still in the center bottom.
So you have...
I'm sorry.
It's still a nostril
I'm sorry,
cam.
Patrick.
It's just a... Well, you know, the nice thing is having done... So the webcam on the XPS 13 is currently still down in the left-hand corner.
Right.
So at least with this one, you can aim yourself at the central nose cam instead of the side nose cam, or worse yet, when somebody's like, I can't talk to you when you're like this, so you put this up on like a book.
A pedestal.
Yeah, and then it's like off to this. It's
yeah. So at least it's in the center.
Center's good.
Now, as for the ports, they have packed it with the necessities. There's 2 USB 3.1s.
I disagree. They are way beyond. Like most places now are like, oh look, you have 2 USB ports.
I know,
and a Thunderbolt port.
No, they've jam-packed it. They have all the necessities that you could need on here. As far as like in 2018, there's a lot of things that a lot of laptops miss. 2 USB 3.1 are both on, there's one on each side. There's also a battery gauge button and an indicator on this side, so you can see how much battery is left whenever you have it closed, which is really cool. There is the power port, HDMI 2.0. There's a headphone jack. There's also a Thunderbolt 3 port for power delivery, USB 3.0, display port, 1.2 video out, VGA, HDMI, Ethernet, USB-A. Those can all work with the dongle on the Thunderbolt 3.
I mean, if you've used a Thunderbolt dock and you're like, I will never use a Thunderbolt dock again, I have tested Dell's Thunderbolt docks with Windows laptops, and they work really well.
They do work really good. There's also an SD card slot, which I really appreciate, and there's a Noble lock slot as well if you need it. Gaming laptops often don't take into consideration things like a classier display like this 4K touchscreen, a lighter weight, a quality build with like carbon fiber and nice aluminum chassis. Like this one is very clean. A lot of times the gaming laptops are a little bit more
Space Alien!
Trendy. Space Alien, definitely. Mind you, this GPU is now last generation, but it's still awesome. It is a 1050 Ti, and those are a fairly good
We haven't seen any GeForce RTX mobile parts yet.
Exactly.
So it's almost last generation.
And this is an excellent laptop. I really enjoy playing with it. Although it is pricey, it's almost $2,000. And if you're in a state that takes tax, then you'll probably be paying close to or a little bit more than $2,000 if you wanted to buy this specific model. But you do have a lot of other options as well. Like we mentioned on the website, there's one as little as $1,000 that you could pay for, and then they go up from there. So lots of different choices.
That's not a bad laptop. 8 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte in a solid state hybrid drive, which means the majority of the storage is
definitely the minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not getting the fancy GPU on that one.
Right.
But you know.
But it's a good option. So I liked it. I thought it was a really great laptop. I'm going to play some more video games on this before we send it back, which I'm super excited about.
Not because she enjoys video games, but for you.
No, I was totally getting in trouble in the workspace earlier. Somebody said to me, "Are you playing video games over there at your desk?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it's for work." I love my job. Let me know if you have any questions about 15-inch laptops or any that could be gaming laptops but aren't necessarily sold as if they are gaming laptops. I would love to check those out. Yeah, stealth gaming laptops. I like it. Ask at TekThing.com, or you can tweet me at Snubs, and I would love to take a look for you.
I got a question.
Okay.
Destiny 2, 4K monitor.
Yep.
Were you running you must have been running the 1050 Ti at 1080p and the monitor was scaling?
Yeah, the example that you saw there was in 1080p.
Okay.
But if you want to upgrade to 4K gaming, you can, and it's very pretty, but you're going to get a very concurrent 30 FPS with that when you have it plugged in. So 30 FPS still looks good, but it's not as good as 60, so 1080p is probably the best option if you want to get 60 FPS while it's plugged in.
I'm thinking about playing certain games at 30 frames per second, and even I would notice that. There will be no Rocket League at 30 frames per second.
Well, moving on, we got a question on Twitter, and this is from Barefaced. Barefaced says, "Hi, what security-conscious Android app would you recommend for email? Thanks."
Oh my goodness.
That's a good question.
Well, you know, it's if you are thinking about security on phones, the first thing I think of is always Signal, which will eventually load on my laptop. There we go. And Signal basically is a secure encrypted messaging client. You can also use it as your on Android. You can use it as your message client.
And you can accept MMS now. You can accept like video and audio files and photos and stuff. So it's very, very good.
And I use it on my phone and on my desktop, and then I can. It's nice.
It is very nice.
Email is tougher, mostly because email itself is incredibly insecure. Unless you're running, say, Proton Mail to Proton Mail accounts, which are stored, basically they're stored and encrypted end to end, or if you encrypt every single email you send before it goes out into the internet, because once your email leaves your client or Google's Gmail servers and starts bouncing around the cloud, server to server, it is completely readable. Anywhere somebody can snatch the packets. So if you run a trace route from like my email client to your email client, any server on that route can basically read it like a freaking postcard because email is not secure, which is why both of us have had panic attacks involving accountants of a certain age who are like, I emailed you this, and you're like,
yeah, it's really fun when they ask for like 1099 or W-9s or whatever forms for the IRS through email, and they ask you to fill out things there, and I'm just like,
statistically improbable that your information will be snatched, but really,
but still,
I also don't walk around downtown San Francisco in front of heroin addicts like, yo, you need? I'm just saying. I digress. Sorry, the heroin thing in San Francisco is completely out of control. I mean, heroin's out of control in the entire United States, but it's very dense and on the streets in San Francisco. So, most email client apps are about managing your giant piles of email. That's what they're like. We're managing your email with AI, which is still the thing. It's like, really? Is that what we need AI for? Not about creating secure environments, at least beyond not sending passwords and logins in the clear, which has actually happened in the past on Android and other platforms. So I'll be honest with you, I don't really have what I think of. You know, the first one that kind of came to mind, I was like, you know what? Just run Microsoft Outlook. Because a lot of people actually like the Outlook client for email, and frankly, Microsoft can't afford to screw up security on this. Quit snickering. I wrote that into the script, quit snickering, because I knew you were going to laugh as soon as I said that. But for the most part, you know, I mean, Windows may or may not be secure at any given moment, but that's also because Windows is a huge target. And I like to think that email is harder to screw up. Next week, Lord knows what she'll be talking about on ThreatWire, but it'll probably involve
always something.
An email client. And of course, the other one that people talk about constantly, right, is Proton Mail, which is the encrypted email. They are building their brand on security, on encryption,
this one's cool.
on privacy. That said, you can't use third-party email, say your Gmail or your Yahoo account, with their app. You have to use a Proton Mail account with that.
That's true, and they do have a paid service that comes with like tons and tons of storage options for your email, so you can port it over, and they do have directions on how to port over to Proton Mail, like for good, from other options
But you're going to be leaving bareface at Gmail or bareface at whatever it is.com and going to bareface at, I think it's like protonmail.ch.
Yeah. It's fairly complicated.
There's lots of encrypted email systems, Hushmail, Countermail, MailFence, Proton Mail. They're all designed to secure email services that encrypt your email, but they're not really secure clients for what it's worth. I am very curious. I'm going to throw this one out to the audience. I'm very curious what y'all have to say about email clients, security, and email in general. Is it still important to you? Is securing it something you even care about? Are you comfortable with the postcard model of sending information through the internet? Do us a favor, email ask@tekthing.com. Let me say it again. We love your tips, your questions. We want to hear what you want us to cover. Ask@tekthing.com is the email, or you can tweet @TekThing, @Snubs, or hey, tweet me @Patrick Norton. If you're a TekThing patron, by the way, you can message us on patreon.com too. Our patrons are the viewers that make TekThing possible. You pay us, you help keep the show from becoming an ad fest by sponsoring the show at patreon.com/TekThing. If you're not a patron, we'd love it if you became one, and if you are, thank you for your patronage. You made episode 193, the one you're watching right now, possible. Keep sending in those tips and questions, and hey, if you could spare a moment or two to give our videos the thumbs up on YouTube or review TekThing on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher, we would appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching and supporting TekThing.
We got a tweet from Eric, aka Eric the Reed, who tweets, I am sure you guys have done a how to back up your 12 terabyte NAS before, but having a little trouble finding it in the archives. Do you remember when that was? Well, Eric, to be honest, I'm not sure we've ever done a segment. We might have mentioned it in passing, but I don't think we've done a full segment. Although you can search old segments on tekthing.com under the little search button.
We've mentioned it in passing. I'm pretty sure we've never actually talked about it. But since I'm getting ready to set up a Backblaze B2 rig configuration bucket for my NAS at home, I am up to talk about this. So here's the thing. You generally can't back up a NAS to something you back up your desktop to, right? If your drive is attached to your PC, you can usually back it up with the unlimited backup you pay for your PC, right? So at home, I've got a 5. It used to be 5. Now it's a 12 terabyte Drobo 5D. I got like 9 terabytes stored on it. That's attached to my desktop at home. And I can actually use it. It just gets backed up with everything else associated with that Backblaze account. A NAS, though, generally requires a dedicated account. Why? So say wedding photographers don't run 80 terabytes of backed up photos over their editing station for $5 a month, right? As silly as that sounds. So one of the first things you want to look at is the pricing. When you look at this Backblaze, this is the Backblaze B2 cloud storage. I use Backblaze for my backup. And if you take a look at this, they show you there's kind of two things going on. One is the cost of storing the data. And the second one is the cost of downloading the data. And you'll notice it's like 500% more expensive to do it on like Amazon S3.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's 5 cents versus 21 cents, but no, it's 5.005. Math is hard, and that's actually like 1/5 of a cent, I think. This is why I'm a computer guy and not an accountant. But I did the math earlier. With B2, you'd spend $50 a month to store 10 terabytes and $100 to download 10 terabytes in the event of your NAS getting wiped or destroyed or stolen or whatever terrible thing happened to it.
Okay.
That would also blow through a 1 terabyte Comcast cap pretty fast.
Yeah, it would.
Well, I went through, there's this I've been using this on and off for years. Meridian Outpost, they have this crazy file upload, download time calculator. So I put in 10 terabytes with 10% of overhead. And so I'm running somewhere between 100 and 155 megabits per second at home. That would be like 157 hours.
Jeez.
If things slow up around dinner time, it would be like 479 hours.
Wow.
So, but you got to think about that, right? If and also when you back that thing up, right? Because the numbers on here, that's for 10 terabytes. So it's going to take literally let's say my system averages, like I pay for 75 off and see 150. Let's call it an average of 100 megabits per second. That's still 244 hours to upload.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like best case a week and a half.
Yeah.
And if things are slower because they throttle things, because because oftentimes you can get a faster connection to your ISP than your ISP can get to the remote server. It could be weeks to back up or download that data. So it's going to cost you to store it. It's going to cost you to download it. It's going to take a long time to do that. And if you've got all that kind of wrapped your head around, and the cost, by the way, some of the costs can get really expensive. That's something you really need to take a look at. Like Google Cloud is 4 times as much as Backblaze. Amazon is 4 point something times as much. This is the part where I actually can remember how to do math.
My goodness.
But you think about that, right? So
well, go Backblaze with their cheap pricing.
Yeah, and it looks really cheap. It's like, 0.005 cents a gigabyte.
I say that, but I only have like 2 terabytes backed up on the Spider Oak, so it would be cheap for me.
It would be, but if you have like your NAS with all of your videos at home, how many hours do you have into ripping and encoding Blu-rays that you use to watch on your system?
Well, luckily I re-encode like all of those,
right.
So they don't take up that much space now, which is good, but they could take up a lot of space after I get everything done.
Yeah, it gets out of control quickly. So if you have a Synology NAS at home, things are a little different on different NAS operating systems, but if you're using the Synology's operating system, you can create a B2 bucket. That's the B2's name for the sort of thing where you're storing data. You pick a B2 or that you have, or you create a fresh B2 bucket. You fire up Cloud Sync on your NAS. That's the basic offline backup program they offer. You pick that Backblaze B2 as your provider. You enter your B2 ID, your application key, the bucket name. You select the folders on your NAS you want to sync, and you hit next, and then you go through that how many hundreds of hours of this is going to take to back up part.
Okay.
There's something that hasn't been implemented, but finally got implemented. There's a more sophisticated remote backup tool that Synology offers, Hyper Backup, which is pretty slick. It's got more sophisticated versioning built in. With Cloud Sync, you basically let versioning is handled by the remote server. So B2 would be like, you can keep your old files or we can erase them. But it turns out that they finally added B2, like, look at this, Alibaba Cloud Object Storage Service, Amazon Cloud Drive, Amazon S3, Backblaze B2, Baidu Cloud Box, Dropbox,
hey,
Google
B2
Cloud.
is in there.
It kind of goes on and on and on for a while there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I actually want to try Hyper Backup on my system at home.
Very cool.
We are curious, or I am curious, maybe you're curious. What are you using? Do you back up your NAS boxes? Because I know some of you have some unbelievably large amounts of data stored in your house. Do you back it up remotely? One of my favorites I've heard of, a friend of mine syncs his NAS. He synced his NAS to another NAS on the home network, then transported the NAS to his grandmother's house, and now does incremental backups remotely between the 2 boxes.
Yeah, you have the remote backup.
Yes.
Cool.
And grandma's house is far enough away that if he gets flooded, she won't get flooded, or if she has a forest fire, he won't. You know what I mean? That whole, like, it's nice to have a second copy like in another house in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's much more secure to have it far away, because disasters tend to be regional.
Yes, they do.
Just saying. So if you're backing up your NAS, if you're thinking about backing up your NAS, if you're now having nightmares because I gave you the idea that your NAS may disappear one day, do us a favor, email ask@tekthing.com, and we will help you back up your NAS.
Yes.
Greg emailed some information on iDrive for Forstral. Remember Forstral? He tweeted us back in episode 191. He says, for the viewer wondering about iDrive, I've used it for a number of years as cloud backup for some nonprofits to help out with IT and networking issues. It's a solid product that I switched some clients over from name brands they were using because of lower costs. I've had to use it only twice to recover lost hard drives, and it worked fine. Easy to schedule BO and sends daily reports, so I know if a machine has stopped being backed up. You two look like you're having way too much fun doing the show. Keep it up. Thanks. Look forward to every Thursday episode. Greg.
You know, sometimes people tell me that I look way too excited on the show always, and they're like, that's so annoying. And I'm just like, that's how I really am. I'm just an excited person. So I'm glad you appreciate it, Greg.
I'm not making cheesesteaks right now, and I'm not dealing with accounting issues, so I'm pretty happy most days. Seriously, our audience, like Greg, continues to be amazing. Thank you for sharing the knowledge, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
And it's always cool to hear, because a lot of people are like, I back my stuff up.
Yeah.
And then they find out that maybe it's not so easy to back the stuff back down, as crazy as that is. And,
yeah, recovery can be a process.
iDrive.com is the website, and every so often there's this amazing animation that goes across the screen, which of course we're not going to see. I want to see the little files in the cloud. Where did they go?
It's one of them.
There it is. Look at
that's
that.
Cute. That's adorable.
I just had a moment there. A big thank you to Hack5 for the studio space. Thank you, Hack5. Check out the Security and Privacy Podcast at hack5.org. That's right there. Shannon hosts ThreatWire. You can find it there. Then check out the superior pen testing and USB automation tools over at hack5.org/gear.
Yay!
Thank you for the space, Hack5.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
Thank you. And remember, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from your screen, close the laptop, and do something analog, like my pick this week, visiting the Dom in Köln, Germany. And hopefully I said that correctly.
Like Köln, Germany.
Köln, Germany. Köln. So the Cologne Cathedral, aka the Kölner Dom, has the coolest architecture that I have ever seen. And it dates back to the 1200s, which is
some serious
crazy
Gothic
to
action
me.
there.
Like, look how beautiful it is. And yes, that is scaffolding at the top. They are doing some reconstruction over there. You know, it's an old building. They got to work on it from time to time. But it's just amazing. Apparently they have like 20,000 people visit per day. So it's pretty dang popular.
You said they started in the 1200s and didn't finish until the 20th century?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's kind of cool. Like when you walk up to it, you can kind of see the layers of where they've built it up. And if you go on the inside, the atmosphere is amazing. They hold masses on Sunday if you're into that kind of thing. And there's even these huge, huge organs like all over the place.
I like
in
how
there.
it's just suspended up here.
I know, it's nuts. And all of the beautiful windows date back to, you know, the olden days. It's awesome. The entire time I was in there, I thought it was so cool. So highly recommend if you are in Germany, go visit the Dom.
Oh my goodness.
They even have a cute little red mascot for the Dom.
Very nice.
Yeah, little squishies.
I miss St. John's the Divine, which is like an Episcopal cathedral in New York City on 110th Street. It was open 24 hours a day.
Oh.
And I used to wander up there when I was in school and after in New York City.
Awesome.
And every so often you walk in there, like somebody would be playing flute at like 2 in the morning, and it would just
Wow.
reverberate
That's
throughout this
so
massive
amazing.
space.
Yeah, I love it.
It's good
I
stuff.
love it. Well, that wraps up this episode.
I'm Patty Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing. St. John's the Divine, which is on 110th Street on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, was still open 24 hours a day when I was in college there.
Oh,
And it was a training site where they were teaching a lot of kids in the neighborhood, basically in New York, all over New York City, to cut stone and lay stone because they were still finishing it. They've been working on it for like 90 years and they were still finishing parts of it. But it used to be so amazing because every so often you go in there and somebody would be holding an impromptu concert in the cathedral.
cool.
Yeah. It's amazing when you walk there. Of course, you know, St. Patrick's is amazing.
Yeah.
It's also kind of trippy because in New York City, you'll be like, oh yeah, George Washington, you know,
It's nuts.
went to services in this church.
Yeah.
Not St. Patrick's, but
It just amazes me that, you know, I was standing in a place that was built up since the 1200s
Yeah.
and just like you could kind of see the layers of how much work they had done over the years because they didn't finish it until
It
like
took-
the 1900s.
like generations to build them.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's nuts.
I was hosting some rugby players once, and we were like, and this is Philadelphia, the cradle of blah, blah, blah. And this happened in 1776. And
Yeah.
one of them was like, right. Yes, when did we sign the Magna Carta? You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Jeez.
Well, we're a young nation here in the United States.
It's true. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.